Hello everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed and welcome to Snowdome, a kinetic visual novel, which means there aren't any choices or multiple endings within the game itself. We have a singular path in this game and we just go straight through it and see what we get out of it, because this inherently relates towards our usual daily lives where we work at a shop or something like that, where we're unappreciated by our bosses and peers for our work, but it's down to us as a player to be able to know what we get out of it. So let's start this, shall we? People sitting inside train compartments always get the urge to gaze out the window. There are many reasons to do so. Nausea, daydreaming, appreciating the scenery, or maybe it is only a subconscious glance. I love the fact that it's also a very snowy game considering it's close to Christmas at the time of this recording. But the reason for this suppressed urge is similar, and that is... No, we all want to jump out of a train. Why? Why do you think is that going to be the case? Whoa. When we're sitting on a train with a predetermined starting point and destination, we're unable to contain our heart's desire for destruction. Even if the future is unclear, we're still eager to shatter our constraints. Humans seek chaos. Okay. That is why we need to learn how to constrain ourselves. We need to chain up the hungry wolves inside our hearts, don sheep's skin, and live among the herd. Don't we all usually do that anyways? Especially when we're on the internet nowadays. We're all doing the same thing. Like a herd mentality sort of thing. Right, let's see. We've got ourselves a save option here. Lovely. Go back to this... escape is to hide. That's lovely. That's a lovely scene right there. Whenever I fixate my gaze on the spherical glass on the shelves, a storm begins to brew up in my mind. The spherical glass is placed on top of a wooden frame. The glass contains clean water, white flakes, and delicate model toys. A village, I want to say river, a village, trees, and little plastic people. It is called a snow globe. The name itself has two meanings. Not only does it imply it has a spherical shape, but it also means that there's an isolated, independent world enclosed within. This in a way can also encapsulate a person's mind whenever they're dreaming or they're wandering off into their own sort of space and time continuum. You're often dozing off at times, and it means that you're on your own little world, away from the rest of the world. There is also a case where we're just playing a game and we shut off the rest of the world. When the globe is turned upside down, the white flakes float in the water like snow. To the world trapped inside the snow globe, when the snowflakes fly, the concept of time is born. Looks like there is movement there. There's a blizzard, rather than it being frozen. When time flows, life is breathed into the once static village, trees and little people. With a bit of tampering, the toys inside will, according to the master's will, play with the falling snow, like gentle and tamed pets. When I was a child, my parents gave me a snow globe as a birthday present. I can't remember its size or what kind of decoration it contained inside. But I remember, I treated it as my treasure. I was glued to it, and kept playing with it. People like us can never enter into the world inside the snow globe. But that's exactly why I, immature as I was, had a huge urge to manipulate the little people trapped inside that world. I wanted to make the snowflakes fall on the little people, so that my presence was felt in a world that looked so perfect. We could essentially be a god with all of these snow worlds, because we choose when the snow falls. I am the god of that. Okay, we were just about to get onto that concept there, which I already did. Although I can't be inside it. I am omnipotent. Yes, I'm listening to you, Mr. Cho. I was supposed to call you Mr. Crow there. Kaka! My thoughts disrupted by a sudden angry shout. My shoulders flinch. My name is Tanyan. I'm just a normal 20-year-old worker. Young people like me are everywhere in this city, with our wrinkled jeans and standard haircuts. We're like our guy by the sea at the end of the summer. We're also like trains on a fixed schedule. Waking, commute, work. Everything we do is written on a platform's timetable. Right now I'm standing beside the door leading into the convenience store, getting scolded by Mr. Chow because of some minor issues with shelving. According to the timetable, I should be making a 60-degree bow, lowering my head and asking for forgiveness. The person in front of me, throwing a rage, is Mr. Chow. He's the owner of this convenience store. Mr. Chow is about 50 years old. His mouth reeks of an unpleasant odor, and his fingers are fat and oily, both distinctive characteristics of a middle-aged man. Mr. Chow doesn't allow us to call him boss. He wants us to call him Mr. Chow. According to the rumors, he used to be a teacher, and then something happened because students discovered he had fat, oily fingers, and the students didn't want to be taught by someone with fat, oily fingers. But he lost his job. His wife and child left him as well. That's why he's now making a living as a convenience store owner. Mr. Chow does not exude any charisma of a teacher. Instead, all he does is keep rambling on and on, hysterically. Excuse me, Mr. Chow. It's not always about competing with other stores. It's about making your store reputable. How are we going to make money if you're going to keep messing up like that? How are we to compete with other stores? I listened half-heartedly. As for how we can compete with the stores across the street, that's not something an employee like me can decide exactly. It's up to, wait for it, management. I expand all my energy on stocking shelves, struggling with register and giving out fake smiles to customers already. Mr. Chow's anger is unreasonable, and also uncalled for. He must have taken a sun-baked road to come here today. The moment he got out of the car, he was fuming. He always picks an interesting time to come to, after the white-collar workers have all started working, but before lunch break. That way, even if he blocks the door telling me off, it won't affect the operations of the store. I've become a punching bag for Mr. Chow. And worst of all, he has a bad temper nearly every day. Really, Mr. Chow? Why can't you even do this right? Are you going to take responsibility if things don't sell? You know what they say, Mr. Chow? If you don't like what I do, do it yourself. Of course, I don't like people pointing and shouting at me, but I don't dare to fight back, of course, otherwise you will lose your job. 3 years ago, I ran away from my... Oh gosh. Yeah, I started loitering around the city by the coast. I thought I could finally make my break in the city, but what was waiting for me instead were cold shoulders. I worked inside a kitchen, a sewing factory, and a DIY store. I suffered a lot as well. So, from the names already, I can guess that the game premises is in China. And if we know anything about working conditions in China, it's some of the worst in the world. Like horror stories of sewing factories, and people actually dying in sewing factories as well because of terrible working conditions and all that. Anyway, that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the problems in China. I suffered a lot as well. The managers treat us like animals. I had to deal with office politics every day. And all we get at the end of the day is a puny salary. Mr. Chow pays well, as long as I don't let his bad temper get to me. I can earn a wage I deserve. For me, I consider it a decent job. That's the thing, right? Do you value... Sorry for smacking the microphone. Do you value your happiness more, or the salary more? And by the way, I'm thinking of this as that your happiness, your sanity, and the money that you get are two separate things. Do you get the happiness out of the salary, or do you get a happiness out of the job? Because this is definitely the case of you get your happiness out of the money. When I first came here, I would squabble with Mr. Chow, but now I'm already fully tamed.
要热爱工作，努力奋斗。你看看你这个样子。
More enthusiastic. Should you take a look at yourself, Mr. Chow, and see how enthusiastic you are towards your employees? Young people like you need to step up, be more enthusiastic and work hard. Look at you. Mr. Chow continues to reprind me as a superior. To Mr. Chow, this convenience store is his snow globe. I'm just a plastic little toy inside this convenience store. Through the transparent glass separating the store with the outside world, he is wickedly manipulating my life. When he's in a bad temper, he can wreak havoc in the store. He derives his entertainment from seeing how frustrated I get. When he's lost interest, he'll just leave us alone. Yes. My body involuntarily shivers. My thoughts had run off again. The past few days I've been easily distracted and daydreaming a lot. If I compare myself to a train, then I'm well due for maintenance. It's my fault for not doing a proper job. It won't happen again.
行了，你就按我说的做，不许偷懒。我明天再来检查。
Aye, alright. Just do it like I told you. Don't slack off. Tomorrow I'll come over to check on you again. Today, just like any other day, Mr. Chow dumps a pile of unreasonable requests on me and then drives away in his car with a satisfied expression. Of course, I can never satisfy his requirements. So tomorrow, he will tell me off again because of this. As I sigh as I hear the sound of a van engine. Days keep repeating like this. When Mr. Chow left, he pushed open the door with full force. The noisy ambience and chaotic scenery from outside rushes into my sight. The skies in China should not be that blue. The greyish clouds are floating in the sky. The angry shouts of the city slip into the store through the open door. There are signs of various colours hanging on both sides of the street. And I'm just saying that the sky colour in China shouldn't be that blue because of all the pollution and stuff like that. Nothing to do with where you are in the world, by the way. It's just how polluted and smoggy certain parts of the world are. The TV in the windows are showing an eye-catching program. I used to look forward to all of this when I was living in the countryside. Now everything is an eyesore. Well, that goes to show that being in the city is kind of dull. Countryside is much more beautiful. A lot more colours. And a lot more fresh air. The enthusiasm I had when I first came to the city is all but lost. Now I'm only trying to make a living, running the train according to the schedule. The heat wave outside is suffocating me. Well, glad it's winter. But for once I wish it was summer because of you-know-what virus. When I'm about to close the door, a hand grabs onto the frame of a glass door. Hey there. I raise my head. It's Lexian. She's wearing a long dress with a flower pattern. Very fitting and gorgeous. Lexian's full name is Mule Lexian. Although she looks around my age, she started working here earlier than I did. That's why I treat her as my superior. Lexian greets me with a smile, then walks into the changing room. Although it's just a polite smile, it's still full of charm, optimism, enthusiasm, encouragement. Lexian is such a beauty. Of course, I know she's someone beyond my grasp, but I still keep fantasizing about it. Hey man, if you really, really like her, then go for it. Okay? If the desire overrides the hesitation, you will go for it. I don't. That goes with anything in life. I don't care if others laugh at me. Men are tragic and pitiful creatures after all. No, we're not. How dare you say that, okay? If you think of yourself as someone very, very confident, not arrogant, but confident, someone who is confident with their own abilities, then that in itself is a charm in which other people can see. Lexian walks over to the counter, her makeup, together with a tailor-fitted uniform, is letting off an intoxicating aura. As a result, all the white-collared workers line up in front of her are male. And as I organise the items on the shelves, I slowly walk around the aisle. Approaching the counter, I want to speak with her. It's not just to make small talk though. I'm curious about something and I can't hold myself back. I take a deep breath. Lexian, did you get here early?
你说什么？
What do you mean? What I mean is, you were standing outside just then, but when you saw Mr. Chow throwing a fit at me, you hid away. You arrived right after Mr. Chow left. You must have seen how he looked, since you didn't ask me what happened. You must have been peeking somewhere.
没办法，
Can't
把
be
他起过
helped.
来太可怕了嘛。
Yep. Bosses are scary when they get angry. Can't be helped. When the boss gets angry, he can be really scary. So you're admitting it. I glare at her, not only because I feel like she threw me under the bus, but also because it's embarrassing. Seeing how I got trashed like that, it must have looked very amusing.
其实我觉得小爷你挺了不起的。
Do you think so, Lexian? Actually, I think you handled it really
是我
well.
被娘骂了一通，可没办法保持好心情继续工作。
Wow. If he told me off like that, there's no way I would still be in the mood to keep working. I would say that with our character, he's probably been moaned at so much that he's just become numb to it, in a way. I'm at a loss for words. I'm not sure if she's praising me or mocking me. Lexian doesn't explain and only returns a mysterious smile. Up Arrow's eyes. The doorbell suddenly rings just at the right time. An office worker with a wrinkled shirt walks towards the aisles. He wouldn't have been out of place in an apocalyptic zombie movie. Wow. Behind him, I could almost see a bunch of hungry zombies rushing over to the store. What time is it? Is it lunchtime? It's the peak hour during lunchtime. Luxie and I stop our chatter and begin serving the customers. The zombified customers. I would say from the protagonist's perception that Lexian is kind of mocking him. But I think from Lexian's perspective, she is trying to make the situation less stressful. But then again, that's just a hypothesis at this point in time. It's still too early. When the line in front of a cashier finally disappears, I'm already exhausted. Luna Chewing Gum. I suppose that is the off-brand of Extra Chewing Gum, considering that it does say, well, it is similar to Extra. Lunchtime, 4 of the white-collar workers have ended. Starving, I grab a sandwich from a shelf for lunch. When I returned, Lexian had already switched back to her casual clothes.
那下午就拜托你了。
Ah, thank you. Alright, I'm counting on you this afternoon. What are you playing this time?
你猜猜看，
No, want to take a guess? What kind of guess? According to the roster, I'm responsible for the morning and noon shift, while Lexian is from noon to night. But ever since we started mingling, she often skips her afternoon shift and pushes it all on me. Okay, then again, that is a little bit selfish. She already knows that Mr. Chow usually goes to the chess club and won't come expect us in the afternoon. Lately, she's become bolder. Seen how you're all dressed up going on a date again?
谢谢夸奖。
Thanks for the compliment. Lexian lets out an outward smile, but evades my question. She probably used to hearing people around her praising her beauty. The compliment I gave after working up my courage doesn't seem to have much of an effect. I cannot help but feel let down. Deflated.
看你一脸遗憾的样子，难道你也想和我约会吗？
Look, Lexian, you don't have to go straight to a point like that, but maybe we do. Why are you looking so down? Don't tell me you want to go out on a date with me. My face immediately flushes red. While I know Lexian is only teasing me, I'm still not used to it. Don't kid around. I might take it for real.
这可不是开玩笑哦，小爷你帮了我这么多，和你约会一次也可以啊。
I'm not kidding. You've helped me a lot. I'm fine to go out on one date. My heart starts to beat rapidly. I recall a movie that's just been released. Then, this weekend, there's a movie.
抱歉，这几周不行。新男友有点粘人，要是之后有空的话，我们再一起出去玩吧。
Nope. We're going to kindly decline your offer. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I can't this weekend, and this is the reason. My new boyfriend's a bit clingy. We can spend some time together if I'm free in the future. Nah. Lexian skillfully brushes off my invitation and then grabs her bag and leaves. Well, there goes that. So maybe my hypothesis is a bit wrong earlier, that she does intend to be a bit of a teaspool one. I can only stare at her back like a dummy. Eventually I'll return to counting the stock. In the end, I wasn't able to refuse Lexian's request. You could have done that, man! To have your coworker push their work onto you. Does this count as workplace bullying? But I'm unable to refuse her. She has a tight grip on my weakness I have as a man. She will continue to toy with me in the future, just like how I'm used to toy with the little people inside the snow globe. Written on the schedule, Mr. Chow is the first stop, while Lexian is the second stop. As the train keeps moving, my body is loaded with more and more burden each time it stops at the platform. Since Lexian skipped her shift, I have to take care of all the work in the afternoon by myself. The store has 20 rows of shelves. Each shelf needs to be loaded with 3 sets of goods. I inspect each row and begin loading, turning myself into a mechanical arm moving back and forth on the assembly line. I still haven't recovered from the fatigue accumulated during peak hour. Now I'm pushing my limits again. Just as I'm scanning the labels, a customer with a child walks by. Is Big Brother sick? Be quiet. The boy's mother drags him away. I aimlessly raise my head to look around. A couple is covering their mouths, laughing. Their eyes meet mine. They stop laughing immediately. Is it really that funny? I lower my head and keep on loading stock, but mine is a mess. Customers keep moving away from me. They're probably all mocking me on the inside. I'm powerless to resist the authority, and I can't hide my desires. I'm only a train, running according to my defined schedule, facing such reality. I'm so tired I don't even have the energy to be angry. Jan? My co-worker from the night shift calls out to my name. That's when I realise I've been scanning the back of my palms for a while. It's about time for me to get off work. After realising this, I lean back against my chair, like a doll with broken strings. Jan, are you alright? I'm fine. I thought you didn't have a shift this afternoon. I swapped it with someone. In order to evade this question, I wrestle myself up. I proceed to pick up a package of frozen food from the shelves to take away with me. After leaving the store, the lingering rays of the sunset is shining on my face. I take a deep breath and relax my shoulders. I finally escape from the snow globe. After 10 minutes, I'm swaying inside a tram. The familiar street scenery is flying across the windows, melting with the evening hues. It looks as if the whole city is melting into the sunset. My home is on the outskirts of the city of Harbin, and the city is at the edge of Pinghu Island. When I get off the tram, it feels like I'm stepping out of the edge of the world, to the edge of the world. While there is a beach at the end of the street, and a department store is just behind me, the people in the city doesn't seem to have a favourable view of the noise and trash. That's why the flats here can be rented for cheap. But what seems like cheap rent to the city dwellers isn't actually a small amount for me. I pass through the corridor and take a glance at the mailbox. It is empty inside. It's been 3 years since I moved here, but I haven't made any friends, nor have I gone out with anyone. The meticulous landlord always remembers to come and ask for my rent though. There's a notice stuck on my door. It's the due date for next month's rent. In order to pay the high rent, I have to put up with Mr. Chow's anger and the heavy workload. Paying the rent guarantees I can stay here to be tortured by this boring and meaningless lifestyle. I'm stuck inside a vicious cycle, unable to escape. I don't even remember the original purpose of coming to the city. It's like when you get on a train for so long you suddenly realise, what were you doing on that train all this time? Suddenly I realise the world outside the convenience store is just another gigantic snow globe. The city is trapping me inside. My fatigued appearance is probably just another toy for people to look at. As I think about meaningless stuff, I open the door to my flat. A heatwave rushes out of the cramped room. I switch on the fan. I then throw the frozen packaged food into the microwave. Now, everything I planned for today is finally done. I sit aimlessly on the couch, looking out of a window towards the setting sun like a lost child. Come to think of it, I haven't done a single thing, or made a single decision today out of my own free will. The sun begins to set, and my time is eventually fading away. I switch on the TV only to be greeted with a static screen. That's when I remember that the TV has been broken since yesterday. I was originally planning to call for the TV to be repaired and have it fixed today, but I completely forgot about it. Since the TV is broken, I have nothing else to do. As if everything in the world has suddenly become alien to me. I can only switch off the TV and begin to tidy up my bedroom, allowing that frustration in me to accumulate. The TV is my only form of entertainment after work. I always watch TV after dinner until I grow tired, and then I go to bed. A non-functioning TV is only a lifeless box. How amusing. Such an ordinary little box can enchant people to such a degree. I have two little boxes in front of me, called monitors. And the phone goes off! Whom could it be? Suddenly the phone starts ringing, screaming to my ears. I really don't want to pick it up. I already know who is calling me. Mr. Chow! There aren't that many people who'd call me. Ever since I came to the city, I haven't even filled a single page on my phone book. I heard that some overseas companies have already invented handheld phones. It's just not that common on this island. So, this must be some point in the past rather than 2020. I'm sure if everyone had one of them, it'd just cause more trouble. Yeah, they sure do. The phone ceases ringing. That's when I go and listen to the message as I thought it's from... Oh, okay. Jan, how are you? I close my eyes and lean against the wall with my whole body curled up, as if doing so could help me escape from Mum's voice. How did they have your phone number then? Did you share it with them? Because if you ran away from home in order to avoid them, then why are you still in contact with them? Maybe you just needed your own space? Maybe that could be it? I'll try hard to think about other things. Oh, what's going on here? Okay. The TV program I often watch is called Traveling with Kiki. Okay, and what would that imply? KK is a character in the TV program. She has a shoulder-length haircut, wears an ordinary white shirt and jeans. The sunglasses she wears is her trademark look. In the show, KK is an intelligent youth studying in uni and likes traveling around the island. The program is an evergreen on the TV world. It's been airing since my grandparents' days. The actress who's been cast as KK is now the 11th generation or the 12th, I can't remember. When I was a child I also grew up with KK, but I'm not sure when. I eventually lost interest in her. Although I'd still watch it on a regular schedule, I'm not that into it anymore. Those sunglasses of hers would even irritate me. That's why, after the TV broke down, I feel a burden has been lifted up from me. Say, the face behind KK's sunglasses in every generation is different. But every KK will wear a smile and visit different cities. Go sightseeing. Enjoy different delicacies. Tasty delicacies. I kept looking at delicacies and thinking that that word says different. And make friends with the locals. She's honest, courageous, optimistic, kind, and can always overcome any challenges. I don't think so. At the end of the show, KK will always return home. She always lets out a smile when she returns to that ordinary and familiar street, as if telling us it's good to be home. It's good to be home. I tightly grip onto my hair. I still haven't escaped from Mum's ramblings. Oh gosh, this game again with the stuff. Once I grew up, the distance between me kept growing. I don't think either of us were wrong, but every word they said kept triggering me. Autumn harvest is next month. We're running short on helpers. They have spent all their lives in golden rice fields. They've already planned out the whole future for me. This year, I'm going to study. Next year, I'm going home to look after the fields. When I should have a child, I don't have a choice in anything. Why don't you come home to help us out? But if I can't make it out in the city, then there's no way I can return. My pride won't allow me to do so. Reason tells me, okay, I'll be worse off staying in the city than going back to the countryside. Not because I'm finding it tough here, but because I've already lost the motivation to work hard in this city. I was following KK's footsteps and arrived at the city, but in the end I lost myself here. The KK on screen hasn't changed a bit. I'm the one who's changed. That's why whenever I see KK's sunglasses, it makes me frustrated. Maybe she is right, but this is not the kind of right I want. Humans are unable to completely submit to their own rationality. That's probably what makes us human. People sitting inside train compartments always get the urge to gaze out of the window. That's because, for the people who are sitting inside, their will and bodies are separate. Their bodies eat, sleep, work and rest according to a predetermined schedule, but their hearts have flown elsewhere. I'm a bird with broken wings. He used to live in a golden cage they made for me, only to fly into the city which ended up being another large cage. I'm just saying other words rather than that word simply because of, well, I live with my parents, so therefore they're probably thinking I'm talking about them, when in that case I'm only talking about a game. Whether I stay here or not, I don't see any hope for myself, except to become a doll with strings and live according to the will of others. It's like this now. It will still be like this in 10 years. My fate is already sealed inside this snow globe. Jan, you're not young anymore. You still have... She keeps rambling. That voice is the final straw on a camel's back. It's like the last straw being let loose. On the phone. I abandon KK and the TV. I pick up my keys and rush outside. Whenever someone sees a train off track, they treat it as an accident or a disaster. But they never try to think about it from a different perspective. Maybe it means that a train is finally free. People like to rationalize something as simplistically as possible, so that we can continue throughout the day, rather than thinking about something for hours on end. But then again, thinking about it hours on end could be the key between discovering what is really there, or just simply losing ourselves in the abyss. Although that freedom also means destruction and madness, the streets are empty. Right now, every household should have finished their dinner and are sitting in front of the TV. The streets are devoid of lights. The balconies from every household is covered in darkness as well. Only the moon is casting a cold hue in the sky. Under the darkness of the night, I stretch my body. The heat during the day has faded away. The air I'm breathing in now feels cold and refreshing. Just by breathing on a street absent of people already starts to bring me satisfying tranquility. During the daytime, the street is filled with white and blue-collared workers and students, but now I can have it all to myself. My whole body shivers out of excitement. The streets during the night are so peaceful. There are no loitering delinquents, nor are there any thugs or thieves. Are you sure about that? Because during the darkness, that is when thugs and thieves usually thrive the most, because of a lack of seeing where they are. If I continue ahead, I'll reach the military restricted zone. Normally I would never go there, but tonight, I'm different. I intentionally walk over to the coast. Huban City is a coastal city, but I rarely ever go to the coast. Maybe because I'm still a farmer's son at heart. I walk along the circuit and arrive at the coast, and then walk along the pavement towards the beach. I raise my feet and kick the sand into the air, throw myself onto the beach and roll around wildly. I pick up a few branches and start writing on the sand, until fatigue sets in. Just when I'm panting heavily, my mind suddenly becomes clear. The ocean is rolling over under the dark sky, sending wave after wave towards my ears. Compared to the ocean, everything I've done up until now is so trivial and lame. No matter what I do here to let out some steam, tomorrow I'll still have to put on that uniform and continue working in the convenience store. I have to be told off inside that glass room by Mr. Chow, pick up more work because my co-worker skips her shifts, and finish my tasks according to a preset schedule. After realizing the facts, I climb up, defeated. I plan to head back with a sullen heart. That's when I hear a faint, distinct singing voice. The singing voice is mixed in with the sea breeze and the waves, like the mythical sirens, enchanted magic. Yes, magic. That's a lovely moon sky right there. I cannot make out the lyrics. I can't even hear the melody clearly, but that delicate voice has me entranced. In the past, when I was watching movies during music classes, I never understood why Christine would so easily be lured away by the phantom's voice. But now I'm like a moth flying over to the lights, walking over to the deep end of the ocean. I walk around a few huge rocks on the sand and enter an uncharted barren land. I walk over to the black rocks and into the shrubbery. I grow more curious at the scenery in front of me. It's like I've mistakenly entered the elf's kingdom in a fairy tale, when I shouldn't have done because I'm not an elf. Suddenly, my sight grows clear. A hill enters my vision. But what is that observatory? I immediately realize it's a man-made structure. Countless steel, cement and unknown electronic devices have created this hill, which is a few dozen meters tall. The most eye-catching thing is the metal framework that points towards the sky. It's like a flagpole grown out from a clay pot, but there isn't a flag hanging on it. I rub my eyes. This futuristic scene has woken me up. I seem to have arrived at an abandoned building. The scene is coming from the abandoned structure. The owner of the voice must be inside. I want to meet this person. I can't wait. Looks like an observatory. I step on the rusty metal boards and climb up. At first I was worried I would fall over, but it seems to be able to support my weight. It's almost as if it was made for you, dear protagonist. This structure must have experienced many years of wear and tear, even the gaps between the metal boards and weeds growing in them. I climb up the help of the moonlight. I grow more and more impatient as I climb up top. I finally see the balcony at the top. I immediately leap over. What surprised me, however, is finding a room at the top floor of the abandoned structure that's completely undamaged. The walls and windows seem to be integrated with the exterior, but inside, I cannot see any signs of disrepair. Inside the room there is a beautifully decorated table. The floor is carpeted. There's also a fireplace. It's just like the European castles I've seen on TV. The moonlight shines in from the windows and paints the whole room in blue. The intricate wallpaper and carving have become lively under the reflection of the moonlight. But what astounds me is a lone young girl standing in the middle of the room. Hey there! She has bright cheeks and large childish eyes. Her skin is shining under the moonlight. Her hair is reflecting a light like pearls. Her face is a reflection of oriental beauty. Her body is delicate like a Swiss doll. I was supposed to think Swiss Army knife. Although she is only wearing a plain one-piece dress, she looks like a princess. This coast is her territory. This ruin is her castle. She doesn't seem surprised by my arrival. She must have seen me climbing up from below. That's why she stopped steam and was waiting for me. Since I've trespassed on private property and seen something I shouldn't have, I suddenly feel a bit embarrassed. But she doesn't seem to care, and instead lets out a smile. Recalling the etiquette of a knight, whenever they see a princess, I walk towards her. Then her lips move.
你好，我叫阿雪，现在正在拯救这个世界。
You're XU. I'm here to save the world. Oh? I freeze. Immersed in this boring life. I couldn't believe what I just heard. Save? The world? From what? Itself? Those words you would never normally hear, let alone say aloud, burst into my mind. And saying that without feeling like it's a joke.
我正在拯救世界，你愿意一起来吗？
I am trying to save the world. Do you want to help me? Like a special agent who has set up a password to its correct combination, I can feel that lifeless heart suddenly springing back to life and opening up. The Pandora's box that has been sealed off for so long has finally opened. Whoa. Chapter 1 off track. Boy with girl meets girl. What do you mean by that? Quick save? Yes, okay, I'll make a quick save. Quick save complete. Aha. Oh, that was the end of chapter 1. Chapter 2, attraction. Come after me and let the people talk. We never got an introduction of chapter 1. The next day, 1:30 p.m. Oh yes, right click to go to the menu. Excellent. I like this way of saving. I also like the fact that TVs are save files as well. It represents the broken TV in our flat. The next day, 1:30 p.m. I'm standing in front of a microwave, observing the dial as it slowly rotates. The convenience store has 3 microwaves. At any given time, one of them is being used to heat up food. The smallest microwave is now rotated with 2 of the cheapest sandwiches I pick for lunch. I'm totally absorbed by the sight. The noisy ambience outside the store, the music inside the store, and the air filled with jam and sugary scent has all been thrown out of my mind. The microwave has been used for years. The plastic exterior is covered in black and oily goo. Even the plastic on the buttons have peeled off. But it has a certain charm to it. Yes, something that is aged, used, but still working. But you become attached to something that has been with you for years. Even to somebody who thinks it's just a part of plastic. That thing has memories that you have with it. The rotating disc at the center of the microwave is like the auditorium inside the Vienna State Opera House. The spotlights are directed to the dancers on stage. One dancer is the tuna sandwich, the other is the bacon and egg sandwich. What kind of sandwich is this? They are being led by a magical force, taking the steps of a solemn and bold dance. And is our manager going to interrupt our train of thought? They are rotating endlessly, a snow globe that only lasts for 2 minutes, but seems like an eternity.
小妍，在看什么呢？
I am looking at the microwave, Lexian. And there you are again. I hear Lexian's voice from behind. Oh, preparing my lunch. Lexian suddenly takes a step forward. She placed her hand on top of my forehead. Her actions were so swift I didn't even have a chance to evade. A rush of coolness pervades my forehead, as if I'm standing in the shade under a tree during midsummer.
好像没有发烧呢。
What? Why are you thinking that? I mean, okay, that's one thing to look out for nowadays, especially with you know what around, but for goodness sakes. Lexian, what are you doing? Are you still teasing
随
us?
时试一下你的体温呀。
Thanks. I'm just checking your temperature, okay. Lexian slightly tilts her head like an innocent young girl. I'm unable to tell whether she's just toying with me, or whether she just doesn't care about keeping a comfortable social distance between people or not.
在我老家那边，大家都这么做。小孩子生病了，也不会老老实实夹着温度计，真的很麻烦。
Okay, fair enough. Everyone does it in my hometown. When a child gets sick, they just won't stand still to have their temperatures checked. It's a pain, really. That sounds like a pain. But I don't have any brothers, I don't have any siblings, so I'm not used to it. I have siblings, 2 brothers.
我家里倒是有个弟弟，他还经常生病。因为爸妈很忙，所以平常就只能由我照顾他了。
So in a way you're like his parent. But you're still their sibling. I have a younger brother. He gets sick all the time. Because my parents are usually busy, I used to be the one who took care of him. No wonder, although Lexian isn't that older than me, she is giving out a big sister vibe. Oh, so is that how you used to check your younger brother's
那
temperature?
当然不是。
Of course not. She lets out a laugh and then points to her own
是
forehead.
用这里测。
You check with what? Hearing her words, my heart
哎
flutters.
呀，是不是有点热过头了？
Aren't you heating it a bit too up? No, not at all. Maybe. She looks at the microwave behind me. I turn around. The packaged sandwich has already ballooned up. It's difficult to adjust to power and time. This is a problem with older microwaves. Originally, I was going to keep staring at it, but after Luxian started speaking, I totally forgot. I quickly opened the microwave, pick up the overheated sandwich, and threw it onto the table. The culprit is still wearing a smile on her face and walks over to the changing room. Thus, she plans to skip her afternoon shift again.
小妍，那下午就交给你了。
You've got to take responsibility for this protagonist. You can't just keep allowing her to keep skipping her shift. Like, I know that my words won't make a difference, but for goodness sakes, I hate it when people manipulate others just so that they can have their own fancy time off. Okay. Normally I would complain a little to Lexian, but this time I just wave my hand at her back. Lexian stops walking as if there's something amiss, but she turns around and lets out a serious
小
expression.
妍，你身体没问题吧？
No, I'm not. I have a certain co-worker that keeps skipping their afternoon shift. I'm good. Better than yesterday. Lexian's eyes me with a suspicion, as if she's staring at her younger brother who has just told her he's finished his homework.
你觉得没事就好，但是注意，不要让自己太累了。
We're already doing that because she keeps skipping your shift.
你想我留下来的话，我把今天下午的约会翘掉也可以啊。反正正好，我也觉得有点腻了。
Yeah, do that. Please ditch it. Please ditch your date. It seems like she just said something very tactful. Being Lexian's boyfriend isn't easy at all. But normally Lexian would just throw all the work to me. Today she's proposing to help me instead. This is totally unheard of. But I just shake my head. It's okay, you do you. I'm alright. I give my own face a rub. Do I really look that
不
tired?
是看起来很累，也不是说脸色不好。
Really?
嗯，
Are you being honest with us? Lexian hesitates a bit.
你见过正在收拾行李准备出游的人吗？刚才小妍给了我很相似的感觉。
Have you ever seen someone who's packing up and preparing to leave for a trip? You were giving out that sort of vibe just then. Preparing to leave for a trip?
要出发的人会在家里收拾东西啊，或者帮忙干干家务。
Okay. I don't follow that logic.
但这个时候，无论给他多么繁琐、多么无聊的工作，他都会默默地完成。
Yes.
换句话来说，就像是机器人一样。
You saying we're a robot then? I'm not that.
当然的呀，他们虽然身体还在这里，但心已经去往别处了。
Of course.
小妍，你会突然飞到别的地方去吗？
Why are you suddenly interested in us? Surely you must be more interested in your boyfriend, Lexian. Or then again, we could just be friends. You know, just friends. Just two co-workers at a store. Although Lexian has always given me the impression of a big sister, when she said those words, her voice felt fragile. I want to say something to her, but I'm at a loss for words. Lexian seems to have noticed my uneasiness. She redecorates her face with a mischievous
小
smile
妍要
again.
从这里飞走，换一份工作吗？
Oh, is that what you meant?
换到饭店后厨洗碗呐、或者当门卫，没准工资还高一点呢。
Lexian, I don't follow your logic, but okay. Won't that be much higher? I do quite like this store. The relationships around here are much
但
simpler.
是这里除了脾气很差的老板之外，就只剩下我了。
I thought there was another co-worker as well.
难道说小妍是喜欢我吗？
What are you talking about? Are you leaving or not? I brush her away with a flushed face. Not only Mr. Chow, but Lexian has also treated me as a plaything. I stump my shoulders. I feel even more tired than just from working for a whole morning. Looks like I'm really bad at dealing with people like her. But she indeed... Are you sure about that? I fixate my gaze on my palms and begin to think of what Lexian just said. My heart is already elsewhere? Maybe from the end of chapter 1. My job in the afternoon is just as always. Nothing much could go wrong. I get changed and push the doors open. It's like closing a book. I finish off the part that belongs to the convenience store. The streets at dusk are like a corridor between the sky and earth. I leisurely pace the corridor, appreciating my surroundings. Numerous disorganized posters and ads are stuck onto the power poles. Rows of water pipes on the building exteriors are covered in patches of rust. The stand selling pancakes is dimly lit with the light of a charcoal fire. A tram is blowing its horn beside me, passing by like a gust of wind. But I am unfazed. At this moment the scenery before me is like an oil painting hanging in an art gallery. The people inside the paintings are so lively, but they are beyond my grasp. Although I'm inside the gallery, I'm isolated from the paintings themselves. In the end, I take a tram that was later than my usual scheduled one. I get off the tram, walk along at my usual pace, and walk towards the rented house at the edge of the city. When I arrive home, I find another notice on the door. At first I thought it was a warning from my landlord to pay my rent, but it turns out to be a notice about the TV repairs. The repair shop sent someone to fix my TV, but as I arrived home late I missed the repairman. Every TV repair shop seems to have a close relationship with the TV station. They do everything they can to help the TV station increase their ratings. The landlord once told me the TV I have at home used to be a bestseller, or because it has a particularly high resolution when showing Traveling with KK. The notice also said they will be coming over at the end of the month to repair the TVs across the whole neighborhood, and hope I can wait at home when the time comes. When I enter the room, I crunch the notice into a ball and throw it into the trash can. And it's a piece of paper, you recycle that sort of thing. As for now, the TV isn't all that important. I prepare myself a simple dinner, quickly change my clothes, and put on a backpack. Today, I'm heading to that place again. Everyone needs to sleep. It's necessary for humans to survive. If we don't sleep, we'll die. But no one can really fully enjoy sleeping. No matter what you see during your sleep, you'll forget about it once you wake up. Hey, don't you ever say that. There are normally things that I think about just before I go to sleep, and then wake up with those fiends inside my head. For goodness sakes, how dare you say that to me? I'm just kidding. That's because, compared to the best of dreams, reality is much more exciting. Why is reality much more exciting than dreams? Would you like to elaborate that one? To me, working at a convenience store from morning till evening is my sleep. What? How is that your sleep? There's no excitement derived from working at a convenience store. The place I'm going to now is much more exciting. The evening. I plunge myself into the night. I open up all my pores and greedily breathe in the liberating air, announcing that my body is fully awake. I am only on my second power level, before going into the third, but then the final one is just after the 69th one. There's not a single person on the street. I walk along as if I'm trespassing into forbidden territory. Humans originated from what's forbidden. Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, and with that their sense of shame was awakened. And that's how we started breeding. Okay. No, it's called reproduction, you fool! That's why, since the beginning of time, our blood is filled with an urge to head towards what's forbidden. Stop recording what she says! Your body is here, but your heart is already elsewhere. It's a mixture of tease and concern from Lexian towards the protagonist, Tanyan. Lexian's words suddenly came to mind. She must have seen through me. When I went to school in the countryside, many of my classmates were planning to inherit their family's farm plots. They kept daydreaming in class and never paid attention to their homework. They don't treat their midterm exams seriously, not to mention the far and distant national exams. While they study in the same classroom as I do, they're more like butterflies that are resting on a shrub. They vanish in an instant. They all have skeletons in their closet, and now I also have a skeleton in my closet. It took me some time to navigate my way via the coastal path that leads to the abandoned site. Although soldiers were never seen patrolling this military restricted zone, there are still many fences. It was a miracle I was able to find the abandoned site yesterday. The sand beneath my feet eventually became rocks. I can't help but start running. And then I started climbing. Not long after I arrived at the luxuriously decorated room at the top of the abandoned building. I recall that as a child, whenever I took out my treasure collection of four-leaf clovers and rhinoceros beetles, I must have been unable to contain the excitement inside from me as well. Now, not only is this abandoned site my snow globe, I'm also able to go inside it too. This is my secret lair, my paradise, and the girl that interests me is waiting for me here. The moment Axu sees me, she immediately runs over with a smile. But as if she suddenly remembers something, she pretends to be angry.
阿言，你怎么现在才来？
Yan, how could it take you so long? I'm sorry, the tram was a bit late. Also, I lightly pat my backpack. I brought something special for you.
礼物？
A gift? Yeah. Like a child, Axu leaps towards me and tries to unzip my backpack. I immediately throw my hands out to block her as she lands directly into my chest. Even so, she's still trying to reach my backpack. Her hair is falling down like a crystal waterfall, tangled in my sleeves and backpack, but they don't feel messy at all. Axu's mental age might be much younger than her looks. I gently press on her shoulders. It's a surprise. You'll find out soon. Don't be so impatient.
到底是什么啊？
What
我等
is...
不及了
You can't wait for it, for goodness sakes. When Axu acts like that, I'm unable to resist her. I can only open my backpack earlier than expected. Didn't you say you wanted to drink tea? I brought some from
是
home.
泡好的吗？
Is it already brewed? Nope, tea is better when it's freshly brewed.
太好了，
That's great. She doesn't know about tea. For Axu, the act of brewing tea is more interesting than drinking it. Okay. I take out a thermos filled with hot water, then place down the teacups and add in some tea leaves. Axu stares intently as I pour hot water. The excitement on her face eventually becomes fully focused. She fixates her gaze on the tea leaves that are floating on the surface. It seems like she's pondering harder. Hard. Where's my mind at the moment? Axu doesn't say a word, but she is exuding a mysterious air. Just like how I saw her the first day we met. But again, the first time we met isn't entirely inaccurate. Maybe I should ask her something about herself. You never seen tea leaves before? Axu raises her head. Her beautifully sculpted face looks like a magnificent piece of artwork.
知道是知道，茶叶是人类从自然中提取出来的一种材料，泡在热水里可以制成饮料。
You're not human then, are you? I do know about it. Tea leaves are a raw material that's extracted from nature by humans. It can produce a drink when brewed with hot water.
依据茶叶发酵程度的不同，泡出来的茶口味也千差万别。
Depending on the tea leaf's fermentation method, the flavour of the tea can be very different. How do you know so much? It's like you memorized that from an encyclopedia.
那是当然的，因为我是后继者嘛。
You're a successor. Of what? Oh, I see. Actually, once again focuses on the tea leaves that are floating inside the cup. She doesn't intend to continue with the topic, because to be a successor, you would have to have a predecessor. But I still have questions in my mind I'm unable to let go of. Yesterday actually keeps telling me things I don't quite understand. From the beginning, when we first met, she kept introducing herself as the successor and was tasked with a mission to save the world. I tried asking her name, where she came from, where are her parents, and why she is in this abandoned building. But actually answered every question with her being the successor. Because she's the successor, her name is Axu. Because she's the successor, she was born in the successor's base. Because she's the successor, she doesn't have any parents, or any memories of her parents. Because she's the successor, she arrived at the site, waiting for an opportunity to save the world. Whenever we delve into this, we end up being in this rhetorical tautology. Up until now, I don't know how to pronounce that word. Up until now, I still haven't figured out what she means by successor. It could mean many things. No matter what, actually is a kind of cute girl. But she's not my boss. She won't suddenly push work onto me. Such relaxing times are hard to come by. I came here empty-handed yesterday. However, today I brought over hot tea as an offering. Taking this opportunity, I want to figure out where she came from. I swallowed my saliva and opened my mouth. Because you're a successor, you understand a lot about tea?
当然，后继者的大脑中早就已经灌输了世界上的知识，茶叶当然也包括在内，但是我从来没有见到过。
Then why do you need someone's help to save the world if you have the knowledge to save the world? Maybe it's the physical application of that knowledge to save the world which you don't have. Transmitted? You learn about tea leaves from a textbook, but have never seen it before. Axu suddenly starts laughing. What's wrong?
啊，我知道，课本，这是普通的人类上学要看的阅读材料吧？
Yes. Are you still mocking us?
对我们的灌输不是这么温柔的东西。
I imagine not.
在灌输了新的知识之后，后继者就会忘掉一些过去的东西。
Okay, that's not great. Like an exam? After an exam, you just forget stuff?
会忘记的不仅仅是知识，连过去的记忆也忘掉了。自己的名字、自己的喜好，一切都有可能忘记。
So in that case, you may have also forgotten about your past as well. That won't be Then won't that be very
因
painful?
为我是后继者，所以没事。
No, it's not fine at all. Like, you need to write stuff down before you forget them. Why is it fine if you're a successor? Axu shrugs her shoulders and puts on a serious
阿
expression.
言，你就真的这么想知道后继者的事情吗？
Yes, please. I suddenly become nervous. Could it be that information about the successors is a national top secret? Could it actually be a victim of human experiments and have escaped from an underground lab? Or could it be her body consists of powers that couldn't be explained by science? Or could it be she's secretly a spy hired by other countries? Anxiety is creeping all over my body, but I can feel an excited sensation within myself too. Since I'm already bored of my meaningless job at a convenience store, maybe Axu can liberate me from all of this. That's why I sit up straight. I really want to know. Please tell me.
我知道哦，阿言是一个很好的人，就算是告诉你，你也一定会为我保密的。
I see. You're a good person. I know you can keep a secret even if I tell you.
但是我必须要你发誓成为我的同伴，一起拯救世界的同伴。
Gosh, you're not much different from our boss, Ben. Alright, I swear to become your companion. Actually lets out a smile in the shape of a half moon.
那我就要告诉你喽。
Okay. But I'm going to tell you now. Okay.
你要做的再正一点，要认真的听。
Gosh, you really are a boss as well. Oh. Ashley's face is flushed all red. Her eyes shine with excitement. Looks like she really wants to tell somebody about this. I follow her instructions and sit up straight, as if I'm paying attention in
我
class.
应该从哪里讲起呢？
Where shall one begin about all this? You know what, folks? We will look at this in the next time around. Hope you are all enjoying this adventure so far. I'm really liking this and seeing like a kind of, not a non-fantasy scenario, because this is definitely a fantasy scenario in its own way, but it's a very, very realistic game because it hits on a lot of topics which we could also encounter in our own lives as well. Like, for example, if you work a convenience store yourself, you might have this this share with the game as well, where you look at what the characters in the game are doing, and therefore you'll be able to empathize with what they're going through and see that things can feel very monotonous in their own ways, like stock checking and cash register stuff and all that, and dealing with people that are higher up than you in the hierarchy, but you can't really argue with them because they're your boss and all that. I mean, of course, if you suddenly won the lottery tickets, and you probably be somebody who won't hesitate actually yelling at your boss, because you're like, you just won the lottery and therefore I don't care about what you think or feel anymore because I have a ticket out of this vicious cycle. But maybe that in itself is definitely a hope, a little hope. But thank you all so much for watching, guys. Hope you're enjoying this adventure so far. Snowdome, very encapsulated, very trapping, very circulating in its own way, like a snow globe. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. There's a link down in the description below where you'll be able to purchase this game for yourselves. And we shall see each other in the next time of Snowdome. Have a lovely day and take care of yourselves.